The first and most significant part of God's message to humankind is love. An affection rises above human comprehension, an affection that is unrestricted and timeless. From the snapshot of creation, God has adored all of his manifestations, directing them through the excursion of existence with his endless insight and sympathy. God's adoration is a directing power, driving mankind towards the way of uprightness and satisfaction. It is through this adoration that he offers his direction and backing, assisting people with exploring the difficulties and afflictions of life. Whether in the midst of euphoria or distress, God's adoration stays steady, a wellspring of solace and strength. Notwithstanding love, God gives direction to humankind, offering intelligence and knowledge to the people who look for it. His direction resembles a guide of light in the haziness, enlightening the way and showing the way forward. Through petition and contemplation, people can interface with God's direction, getting clearness and understanding to explore life's intricacies. God's direction isn't restricted by human constraints or limits. It is all-inclusive and available to all who will open their hearts and psyches to get it. Whether through sacred text, instinct, or the insight of others, God's direction is ever present, prepared to lead humankind towards an existence of direction and satisfaction. As the wellspring of all creation, God's adoration and direction are characteristic for the human experience. It is through his adoration that people track down comfort and solace, and through his direction that they track down bearing and reason. In each snapshot of life, God is there, offering his adoration and direction to all who look for it. One of the most significant parts of God's message to mankind is absolution and reclamation. Since the beginning of time, people have committed errors, capitulated to allurement, and wandered from the way of exemplary nature. However, in spite of these deficiencies, God offers pardoning to all who look for it. Pardoning is the foundation of God's adoration and benevolence. It is a gift uninhibitedly given to mankind, no matter what the nature or seriousness of their offenses. God's pardoning is unlimited, reaching out to all who genuinely atone and look for his effortlessness. No transgression is excessively perfect to be excused, and no individual is past recovery according to God. In offering pardoning, God welcomes mankind to encounter the groundbreaking force of his adoration and benevolence. It is through pardoning that people can track down recuperating and compromise, both with themselves and with others. By recognizing their flaws and looking for pardoning, people can deliver the weights of responsibility and disgrace, permitting them to embrace an existence of opportunity and restoration. Reclamation is the regular outcome of absolution. It is the cycle by which people are re-established to a condition of elegance and completeness according to God. Through his limitless love and leniency, God offers the endowment of recovery to all who go to him with humble hearts. It is another opportunity, a new beginning, a fresh start. God's message of pardoning and recovery is a demonstration of his limitless love for mankind. It is an update that regardless of how far we might wander, God is dependably prepared to invite us back into his caring hug. It is a message of trust and salvation, offering the commitment of everlasting life to all who acknowledge God's pardoning and reclamation. In embracing God's message of pardoning and recovery, people can track down independence from the chains of wrongdoing and the weights of the past. They can encounter the delight of compromise and the tranquility of realizing that they are adored genuinely by their Maker. It is a message of trust and recharging, welcoming all who hear it to encounter the extraordinary force of God's adoration and kindness. God's direction and shrewdness are priceless assets that he uninhibitedly offers to mankind. From the beginning of time, God has given direction to his kin through different means, including sacred writing, prophets, and individual disclosure. His insight enlightens the way of honesty and offers bearing in the midst of vulnerability and uncertainty. God's direction resembles a signal of light in the murkiness, driving mankind towards truth, nobility, and salvation. Through sacred writing, like the Good Book, the Quran, or other consecrated texts, God confers his heavenly insight and lessons, offering experiences into the idea of presence, the motivation behind life, and the way to profound illumination. Notwithstanding sacred writing, God likewise addresses mankind through prophets and profound pioneers who act as conductors of his heavenly insight and direction. These people are picked by God to convey his messages to mankind, giving direction, reprimand, and consolation to the individuals who try to follow his way. Individual disclosure is one more method by which God imparts his direction to people. Through supplication, contemplation, and otherworldly thoughtfulness, people can look for God's direction and get individual bits of knowledge and motivation customized to their one-of-a-kind conditions and needs. God's direction is grounded, showing a divine level of insight and love for humankind. It is a wellspring of solace, strength, and confirmation in the midst of trouble and difficulty. By heeding God's direction, people can explore life's difficulties with certainty and lucidity, realizing that they are strolling in arrangement with His heavenly will. God's insight rises above human comprehension and includes all parts of presence, from the unremarkable to the significant. It offers bits of knowledge into the secrets of the universe and gives down-to-earth direction to carrying on with an equitable and satisfying life. In looking for God's direction and shrewdness, people open themselves to a more profound comprehension of themselves, their motivation, and their relationship with the heavenly. It is an excursion of self-revelation and otherworldly development, directed by the caring hand of God constantly. God's beauty and pardoning are essential parts of His tendency, exhibiting His unlimited love and benevolence towards humankind. Notwithstanding humankind's weaknesses and downfalls, God's elegance offers the commitment of reclamation and salvation to all who look for it. Effortlessness is the ridiculous blessing and consideration that God presents to mankind, no matter what their activities or deeds. It is a gift uninhibitedly given, not procured or merited, however presented out of God's boundless love and empathy. Through elegance, God offers pardon for sins and deficiencies, permitting people to encounter His affection and leniency in overflow. God's pardoning is a significant articulation of His adoration for humankind, offering the chance for compromise and reclamation. Regardless of how far people might have wandered from God's way, His pardoning is generally accessible to the individuals who genuinely apologize and look for compromise with Him. Pardoning is a focal topic in numerous strict customs, stressing the significance of relinquishing past wrongs and embracing a feeling of compromise and empathy. As Jesus instructed, pardon us our sins, as we excuse the individuals who trespass against us, featuring the equal idea of absolution and the significance of stretching out effortlessness to others as we have gotten it from God. God's pardoning isn't restrictive upon wonderful way of behaving or adherence to a bunch of rules and guidelines. All things considered, it is offered openly to all who humble themselves before Him, recognizing the requirement for His kindness and beauty. Through apology and earnest remorse, people can encounter the groundbreaking force of God's absolution in their lives. Absolution is generally difficult, yet it is fundamental for mending and compromise. By excusing others and ourselves, we discharge the weights of disdain and outrage, permitting God's adoration and effortlessness to stream openly in our lives. As we stretch out absolution to other people, we mirror the heavenly love and kindness that God has shown us, encapsulating His effortlessness in our communications with others. Eventually, God's elegance and pardoning offer the commitment of recovery and restoration, changing lives and carrying mending to injured spirits. It is through His beauty that we track down trust in the midst of hopelessness, strength in the midst of shortcoming, and harmony in the midst of disturbance. As we embrace God's effortlessness and absolution, we are changed by His affection, becoming vessels of His kindness and sympathy on the planet. God's sympathy and compassion are significant articulations of His adoration for mankind, mirroring His profound comprehension of human affliction and His longing to mitigate it. As creatures made in the picture of God, we are called to imitate His sympathy and compassion towards others, stretching out generosity and backing to those out of luck. Sympathy is the genuine reaction to the enduring of others, joined by a longing to ease their aggravation and give solace and help. It is a principal part of God's temperament, showed all through sacred writing and His cooperations with His kin. From ameliorating the crushed to mending the wiped out and taking care of the eager, God's sympathy is apparent in His activities towards humankind. Compassion, then again, includes the capacity to comprehend and discuss the thoughts of others, strolling close by them in their delights and distresses. Jesus exemplified sympathy during His lifespan, showing understanding and empathy towards the underestimated, the outsider, and the mistreated. He sobbed with the people who grieved, cheered with the individuals who celebrated, and offered uplifting statements and consolation to all who looked for Him. As supporters of Christ, we are called to epitomize His sympathy and compassion in our collaborations with others, offering grace and understanding to all, no matter what their conditions or foundation. Through demonstrations of sympathy, we exhibit God's adoration in unmistakable ways, offering trust and mending to the people who are harming. Sympathy and compassion are not restricted to excellent signals or brave demonstrations, but rather can be communicated in straightforward, regular kindnesses towards others. A grin, a listening ear, some assistance. These little demonstrations of empathy can significantly affect everyone around us, carrying light into the haziness and desire to the sad. In a world set apart by division, struggle, and enduring, God's sympathy and compassion offer an encouraging sign in mending. As we develop sympathy and compassion in our own lives, we become instruments of God's affection and beauty, focusing His light into the haziest corners of the world and carrying solace and recuperating to all who are out of luck. In snapshots of vulnerability and uncertainty, God offers His direction and course to the people who look for His insight and understanding. His direction comes in different structures, including the sacred writings, petition, the guidance of savvy tutors, and the internal provoking of the essence of God. By looking for God's direction, people can track down lucidity, reason, and satisfaction in their lives. The sacred texts act as an immortal wellspring of intelligence and direction, offering bits of knowledge into God's will and His arrangement for humankind. Through the review and contemplation of sacred writing, people can perceive God's voice and comprehend His standards for carrying on with an equitable and satisfying life. As the psalmist proclaims, "Your statement is a light to my feet and a light to my way," featuring the enlightening force who can be depended on to direct and coordinate our means. Petitioning God is one more fundamental method for looking for God's direction and course. Through ardent supplication, people can cooperative with God, spilling their guts and looking for His insight and direction in each part of life. As Jesus showed His pupils, ask, and it will be given to you. Look for, and you will find. Thump, and the entryway will be open to you, underlining the significance of steadiness and confidence in looking for God's direction through supplication. Notwithstanding sacred writing and supplication, God frequently gives direction through the advice of shrewd guides and otherworldly pioneers. These people can offer important bits of knowledge and points of view, drawing from their own encounters and walk with God to give direction and course in testing circumstances. By searching out the guidance of believed tutors, people can acquire lucidity and trust in pursuing significant choices. At last, God's direction frequently gets through the inward inciting of the essence of God, who stays inside each adherent. The essence of God fills in as an aid and supporter, driving people into truth and honorableness. By developing a delicate soul and listening mindfully to the voice of the essence of God, people can recognize God's will and course for their lives. At last, God's direction and bearing give a feeling of harmony and confirmation amidst life's vulnerabilities. By looking for His insight and understanding, people can explore life's difficulties with certainty, realizing that God is driving them constantly. As sayings reminds us, and trust in the Master with everything that is in you, and lean not on your own comprehension. In the entirety of your ways recognize Him, and He will coordinate your ways. You might have come to a point in your excursion where it seems like everything trust is lost, where the way forward is covered in haziness, and where you question whether you can proceed. It's right now that you should recall that each misfortune is a chance for development, and each challenge is an opportunity to become more grounded. In spite of the challenges you might confront, recollect that I am generally with you, directing you and supporting you through each hardship. It's during these snapshots of uncertainty and gloom that your confidence is really tried, and it's through conquering these hindrances that you will arise more grounded and stronger than at any other time. In any event, when it seems like you've arrived at the finish of your road, recall that I am here to lift you up and bring you through. Trust in my arrangement for you, and have confidence that everything occurs for an explanation, regardless of whether you may not grasp it at that point. This moment isn't the opportunity to surrender or lose trust, all things being equal. It's a potential chance to dig profound inside yourself and track down the solidarity to continue to push ahead. Recall that the most obscure evenings frequently produce the most splendid stars, and that even in your haziest minutes, there is generally a flicker of light to direct you home. So cheer up, my kid, and realize that you are rarely alone. I'm here with you continuously, directing you, safeguarding you, and cherishing you beyond what you might at any point envision. Trust in me, and together we will endure any hardship that comes our direction. Proceed to the following point for more direction and shrewdness. As you progress forward with your excursion, it's fundamental to stay open to getting heavenly direction in the entirety of its structures. Divine direction can come to you through signs, synchronicities, instinct, and surprisingly, through the words and activities of others. It's fundamental to stay responsive to these messages and to confide in the insight of the universe. At times, divine direction might come unexpectedly or may lead you down ways you won't ever envision. At these times, it's vital to confide in the heavenly arrangement and to have confidence that everything is unfurling as it ought to. In any event, when things might appear to be muddled or unsure, realize that you are continuously being directed towards your most elevated grade. One method for embracing heavenly direction is through supplication and contemplation. By calming the psyche and opening the heart, you make space to get heavenly motivation and knowledge. Take time every day to interface with the heavenly inside yourself and to tune in for the direction that is consistently accessible to you. One more method for embracing heavenly direction is by focusing on the signs and synchronicities that show up in your life. These signs are many times unpretentious messages from the universe directing you towards your actual way. Whether it's an opportunity experience, a common dream, or a strong inclination, trust in the heavenly direction that is generally accessible to you. At last, confiding in your own instinct and inward wisdom is fundamental. Where it counts, you definitely realize what is best for you, and by tuning into your internal direction, you can explore through existence with more prominent clearness and certainty. Trust in yourself, trust in the heavenly, and believe that you are continuously being directed towards your most noteworthy great. As you forge ahead with your excursion, recall that heavenly direction is consistently accessible to you. Stay open, responsive, and trusting, and realize that you are continuously being directed towards your actual reason and fate. Proceed to the following point for more direction and intelligence. As you walk your way in this world, developing appreciation and empathy in your heart is fundamental. Appreciation is the act of recognizing and valuing the endowments in your day-to-day existence, both of all shapes and sizes. At the point when you develop appreciation, you hold nothing back from the overflow that encompasses you, and you draw in much more favors into your life. Pause for a minute every day to ponder the things you are thankful for. It very well may be the affection for loved ones, the magnificence of nature, or the straightforward delights of life. By zeroing in on appreciation, you shift your viewpoint from shortage to overflow, and you welcome more endowments into your life. Sympathy is the act of expanding generosity and compassion towards yourself as well as other people. At the point when you develop empathy, you hold nothing back from the enduring of others, and you become a wellspring of mending and backing on the planet. Practice thoughtful gestures and liberality towards yourself as well as other people, and develop a feeling of empathy in all that you do. One method for developing appreciation and empathy is through everyday contemplation and reflection. Take time every day to sit in calm consideration and ponder the things you are thankful for and the manners in which you can broaden empathy towards yourself as well as other people. By making this training a piece of your everyday daily schedule, you reinforce your association with the heavenly and extend your feeling of internal harmony and satisfaction. One more method for developing appreciation and sympathy is through demonstrations of administration and noble cause. Search for chances to chip in your time and gifts to those out of luck, and search out ways of having a constructive outcome on the planet. By rewarding others, you improve their lives as well as develop your own feeling of direction and satisfaction. As you develop appreciation and empathy in your heart, you will find that your life becomes more extravagant, more significant, and seriously satisfying. You will encounter more prominent delight, harmony, and satisfaction, and you will end up being a wellspring of light and motivation to everyone around you. Proceed to the following point for more direction and astuteness. One of the crucial insights of life is the temporariness, everything being equal. All that in this world is likely to change, and nothing endures for eternity. While this might appear to be overwhelming, embracing temporariness can really prompt a more profound feeling of harmony and opportunity. While you grip too firmly to things, whether it's assets, connections, or even thoughts, you make languishing over yourself. Connection is the foundation of all affliction, as the Buddha instructed, on the grounds that it blinds you to the consistently changing nature of the real world. By figuring out how to give up and acknowledge the temporariness of life, you can liberate yourself from superfluous misery and discover a genuine sense of harmony and bliss. Giving up doesn't mean surrendering or surrendering to destiny. All things being equal, it implies delivering your connection to results and giving up to the progression of life. It implies embracing change as a characteristic piece of presence and confiding in the inside of the universe. Work on giving up in your everyday existence by delivering connections to things that never again serve you. This could mean cleaning up your actual space, relinquishing poisonous connections, or delivering restricting convictions that keep you down. By delivering what no longer serves you, you set out space for new open doors and encounters to enter your life. Grasping impermanence too implies living completely within the show minute. Rather than dwelling on the past or stressing approximately long haul, focus on the here and now. Savor each minute because it comes, knowing that it is fleeting and precious. By living within the present moment, you'll be able to find greater delight, peace, and fulfillment in your life. Eventually, grasping impermanence may be a significant act of yield and belief. It could be acknowledgement that life could be a lovely, ever-changing move, which each minute is an opportunity for development and change. By letting go of connection and grasping the flow of life, you'll discover genuine opportunity and bliss. Proceed to the another point for more guidance and shrewdness. In conclusion, my expensive child, I need you to keep in mind merely are never alone on your travel through life. I am continuously with you, directing you, ensuring you, and cherishing you unequivocally. No matter what challenges you'll confront or what deterrents may come your way, know that I am here for you, prepared to bolster you and assist you discover your way. As you explore the ups and downs of life, keep in mind to turn to me for direction and strength. Trust in my intelligence, and I cherish and know that I will continuously lead you towards the way of light and truth. Believe in yourself as well, for I have invested you with incredible quality, flexibility, and wisdom. You have the control inside you to overcome any deterrent and to form the life of your dreams. Remember to cultivate appreciation and sympathy in your heart, for they are the keys to opening the wealth and bliss that anticipate you. Own benevolence, liberality, and pardoning towards yourself and others, and observe as your life changes in supernatural ways. Above all, keep in mind that you simply are adored child of the universe, commendable of love, joy, and fulfillment. Grasp your divine nature and let your light sparkle brightly for all to see. Know that I am continuously here for you, cheering you on and directing you towards your most elevated grade. With all my cherish and endowments, God,